Hey guys, Trevor Hold here. Welcome to another episode of the Who Are We podcast. Today I got special guest from the UK, William David. How you going, William?
I'm good, thank you, Trevor. Thank you for inviting me.
No, that's great, and thanks for being here. Just before we get going, just a little declaration. We're recording this episode, and we're going to make it available on YouTube, on a YouTube channel, and provide some promotional links on LinkedIn or other social media, just to raise awareness and let people know about the content here that we're talking about today. So basically, we'll get straight into it. Who is that William David, and what does he stand for?
Well, I'm, as you say, I'm from the United Kingdom. By the way, it's very cold here today, and I wear three hats really. I'm a professional trainer in employment law, United Kingdom employment law, and a range of other subjects, including cultural communication. I also look at other laws dealing with mental health, data protection, welfare benefits. So that's the first part of me. The second part is that I'm a volunteer advocate here in Preston in Lancashire. It's in northwest England, helping people with discrimination and welfare benefit claims. And today I'm speaking to you from a recruitment agency, because I'm helping them as well in Preston, who deal with people going into care homes and providing domiciliary care. So those three bits are me, and today I'm wearing the three hats, although you can't see me. So that's me.
No, that's great. So it sounds like you're doing a bit. So I'm just try and debrief on some of these things. So cultural awareness was one of the three things you identified. Did you want to elaborate a bit in that? What's that involve?
Yes, I do. Yes. Perhaps it's good you can't see me, because I was going to discuss with you body language from a Western and a non-Western point of view. When I train people, students and others, in cultural communication, we talk, of course, about words and how words are different, how laws are different. But if I were to put my thumbs up to you now here in Preston, I'm doing that in front of the screen, that means okay. But in South America, it can be a very rude gesture. There are other things about eye contact, nodding the head. If you nod the head in Bulgaria, it doesn't mean yes, it means no. So things around body language and paralinguistics and tone can be very different from one country to the other. If I give you sustained eye contact, that perhaps is a sign of trust, but some Buddhists would look away because it can be a sign of aggression. If you put yourself in the shoes of somebody who is on the autism spectrum, barristers and lawyers have been trained very carefully to be careful with their questioning of people on the autism spectrum. If I were to say to somebody who was in the dock on the autism spectrum, put the court in the picture, well, you'd either get a look of injured surprise or you'd be given a picture literally. So different words can mean different things. So cultural communication, in summary, encapsulates different laws and different ways of communicating with people. There must be some Australian examples. I can think of some Australian words, but I don't want to stereotype things.
There is some similar to what you say. Some of the indigenous peoples here living indigenously also have that eye contact thing where they don't make eye contact. But a big one that we've talked about in some of our cultural awareness is time and space. Sometimes some Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders here like to take their time to consider their answer and their response. So giving them the time they need to think about it, what you said and how best to respond to you is probably a big one here that they promote.
Yes. Sorry, you just paused then on the podcast. I just heard what you said. Yes, definitely. And other areas are linked to this. So equality laws and employment laws can very often be linked to cultural communication. One of the big things that I do is around public speaking and allowing people to make presentations, handling nerves, talking about Aristotle, Aristotle said that if you want to make a good speech, he was a great orator, you need pathos, logos, and ethos, passion, structure, and an ethical approach. And when I'm running for any audience, public speaking courses, I always say 4 things. And people forget the 4th. I'll come to it in a second. Tell them what you're going to say it, tell them you said it, and leave them wanting more. And those 4 things wrapped around pathos, logos, and ethos have the hope and perhaps the prospect of having a very effective presentation where you can then engage the audience.
Yeah, and that's big part of I suppose communications in general, but just getting along in society, and especially in big multicultural environments. You just have to excuse me, I got a dog trying to get a pat here, but it's a big it becomes a big factor how you communicate people and how you just get along in society in general.
Yes, it is. One of the things I did last week, Trevor, was a free course. I'm very happy to make this available to anybody. I run a 90-minute session on mind your language, in terms of what language, what words to use and not to use. Not political correctness, but just trying to show diversity in diction. And I'm very happy to make that available to anybody. I've done it today on the podcast. It's a 90-minute PowerPoint presentation with some exchanges. So again, if you were wanting any free resources like that, I'm very happy to accommodate.
Oh yeah, that's great. And we'll put some information out on some posts to see if there is some people who work, because obviously that would be very beneficial to a lot of people. Even myself could probably do with a bit of that as well. So that was one of your 3 things that you did. Another one was volunteering. That was another one of your three things that you mentioned in your start. Did you want to elaborate on what's involved with that?
Yes, it's drawing. I do that for 2 reasons. First of all, it keeps my hand in. Because I represent people in front of tribunals and welfare benefit courts. It enables me to keep abreast of what's going on. But the second thing is, when you help somebody with a claim, whatever it is, it's hard to describe, but it's not quite job satisfaction, but you feel something good inside, don't you? You've achieved something. And sadly, and this is just a small corner of the United Kingdom, I am very busy. I could be busier as a volunteer advocate. I try to temper things, but I represent people with sexual harassment cases, disability claims, immigration appeals. And I often find when people come to me, Trevor, and this is applicable right across the piece, I use the word WAR, W-A-R. It's an acronym. I'll tell you what each letter means. Many of the people that I help today who've suffered discrimination, harassment, or bullying, they withdraw, they resign, they walk away. That's the W. Other people go into the A box. They'll be suffering inside. The mask will go on. Well, it was only a joke. She didn't mean it that way. They'll smile and agree. The key thing, and this is why I'm so busy, and professionals are busy as well, if somebody is bullied or harassed in any way, the question should be asked, do they have the confidence to resist, to blow the whistle on a dodgy boss or a dodgy practice without facing reprisals or victimization? That's easy to say, harder to do, because very often I find, and you must probably do the same with your work in mental health and other things, people do withdraw, they do agree, very hard to resist.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. That's true. Because the biggest thing about standing up, especially in the workplace, and that's something I'm an advocate for as well, because we spend, I don't know, over there in the UK, it's probably similar to Australia. I think on average, the 24-hour day is broken up traditionally in 8 hours of work, 8 hours of recreational time, and 8 hours of sleep traditionally. So you're spending a third of your time at work, and if it's not a safe space for you, then it could lead to difficulties not only in your mental health, but your family and your finances and all that sort of stuff. And if that's your sole income, then it's really hard to stand up against bully bosses or bully supervisors or or other people that have got power over you at work, and it can lead to devastating consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the case in the United Kingdom. We've got tough laws, but you can have all the laws in the world you like. You don't always get people's attitudes changes. We still have cases around pregnancy dismissal, sexual harassment. McDonald's in the United Kingdom have been taken to court by the Equality Commission. They've had over 1,000 cases, 1,000 cases of sexual harassment of staff by staff, customers by staff, managers, a whole narrative there. And later this year, because the laws have not been strong enough, we're getting a new law where employers and those who provide services are going to have to be more proactive in eradicating sexual and racial harassment. Many times when I run a training course as a professional, I give people case studies, and I say to them sometimes as a catchphrase, because of that compensation, that person will never have to work again. However, you can have all the compensation in the world, you can have the apologies, you can get the references, but very often nothing has changed in the organization. Things move on. And this new law that's coming in has a prospect of going beyond one case and extending the learning points to everybody in the organization.
Which is important, isn't it? Because prevention's always better than cure, because, like there's some of these people never get over some of these harassment cases or some of these bullying or sexual harassments, and they carry it with them till they die. And then if they have their children, then they could pass it on and intergenerational trauma, and it could be ongoing forever. So preventing that from happening to anyone else is probably a priority in society, I would think.
Oh, definitely. And I can't give you the names, but I could certainly show you a young man who was gay, bullied, working for a security company. He got compensation, but every time he sees that Group 4 security van or sees anything on television, he will have panic attacks and invariably will wet himself. It's the same with women or men who've suffered any form of detriment. Get the compensation, but the flashbacks, I suppose it's post-traumatic stress disorder, by analogy, that's something that's never going to go away. And the damage it has on the relationships they have with other people, that also feeds on itself. It's pretty toxic.
Yeah. And that's, I suppose, that's the big cycle of life that we're trying to avoid by and being aware of these things and talking about these issues, because they're not pleasant subjects to talk about. And I'd like to thank you for being open and honest and having these conversations, because just by talking about these things could create awareness and help other people talk about them too, because they are good subjects to talk about, but are very taboo.
Yes, they can be taboo. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So the third thing was just your professional life, was it? Was this just what you do for coin, is it? Or I'm just
yes, that's right. Yes, well, my professional life and my voluntary life come together. I try to keep them separate, but sometimes I run a training course. I have a website, and sometimes people will come to me on the training course and then want some help with a case. So sometimes it's interchange. I try not to get sucked into that too much, but my professional courses are around employment equality laws and data protection, as I mentioned. And then on the other side, as again mentioned, communication, public speaking. I used to do some amateur dramatic acting a long time ago. And sometimes when we do role play and case studies, I come to life. I'm not going to do the voices now, but role play for a purpose, not just to entertain people. I've done that successfully, but I'm always very careful with role play because some people hate it. Some people hate public speaking. They say there are 5 things in life that people dread: death, rats, dental surgery, job interviews, and public speaking.
I hate rats.
It's called glossophobia. That's a good word. I don't mind public speaking.
I don't. Yeah. I hate rats.
Right?
I hate rats.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So these training courses that you do and the training that you do, is that something that you've been doing your whole life, or is this something you progressed in the later life, or how has that come about, or how has that evolved?
Well, I started life as a young junior traffic clerk in a road haulage company, then worked for a local authority for 5 years, went as a late entrant to university in Newcastle and Preston, and then I went to work 20 very happy years with the Equality and Human Rights Commission. I started as a casework officer, tribunal officer, and then I became the head of training for the United Kingdom. So training and public speaking and advocacy, they all go together. So, and amateur dramatics as well. So that's where I am today.
And do you think, because a lot of what you've said today is more about, and I suppose this is one of the big issues. I spoke with a couple of guests on it previously, but a lot of these things that you're identifying are things that you do, as opposed like your job, your volunteering, and these are activities that you do. Is that who you are? You're not really distinguishing between what you do and who you are. Are you living your full potential as doing these activities? Is that who you are, like deep inside, do you think?
Yes, I think the cliche will be walking the talk.
Yeah.
I do the lottery, but if I won the lottery, I wouldn't stop doing this. I wouldn't want a house or a car. What I do, first of all, I go to the Waterstones bookshop, a very big bookshop in Preston, United Kingdom, and I give the manager money to close the shop for a week. I'd live in the shop for a week and then to get all the books in the world I could, but then I'd come back to doing all this. I don't drive. I don't, not interested in driving, but I am interested in ideas and reading. I've got 3,000 books. My bedroom is a mess, but well, it's not really. It's tidy. It's just full of all sorts of books. So yes, I walk the talk, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's
yeah. I'm so sorry.
No, that's what it's, I suppose, all about is being who you're meant to be. And it sounds like you found your purpose in life and you're living it, and you've worked out a way to popularize or financialize your life, being you, and that just so happens to help other people as well. Amazing.
Yes. Well, I don't think there's anything else I can add, other than to say, is there anything about you? I've been doing all the talking. Is there anything about you?
Well, basically, yeah, I don't mind sharing about me, William. I'm just, I just turned 40. I'm 45 this year, but when I turned 40, I was actually surprised. I was never supposed to live past, in my small mind, 18 years old. I didn't even expect to get to my 18th birthday. I was, had a pretty troubled childhood, and suicide was well on the cards, drug overdoses, car crashes, or something stupid like that. And there was a big joke at the time. There's a place up here, Bogger Road Jail, they call it, is the adult jail where everyone used to go to here. I think it's shut down now, but back in the day, that's where I was expected to go and die at a young age. So live until I was making it to my 40th birthday was unbelievable for me. I just couldn't even fathom it. Being a year 8 dropout from school, due to being bullied, and yeah, it's okay, it's all good, and talking about it's okay, but just being not being able to live to my potential due to a lot of the trauma and a lot of the hurt from my childhood. But I was able to get into a trade. I'd done a trade as a fitter machinist, and then I ended up doing 3D design and computer operating, and traveled the world as a projects man. I had projects in New Guinea and New Zealand. I went over the Menia, the border of Turkey and Iran, and travel around a bit doing projects and that, mainly mining and mining sort of projects and that sort of stuff. I've done a bit of manufacturing and a bit of construction projects as well. I ended up getting a defence contract for 2 years, which enabled me to set up this farming enterprise that I run now and doing all this sort of stuff. So I've done a lot with my life, and I was pretty blessed that I've been with the same woman since I was 19 years old. So being able to manage a successful relationship and raise 3 kids was just amazing. And reflecting on my 40th birthday, I couldn't believe I achieved all that, because here in Australia, the biggest suicide rates are construction, mining, and manufacturing type industries, and there's a lot of suicide in them industries. So coming from a high risk industry with a high risk childhood, it's just nearly a miracle that that I was able to not only overcome it but successfully engage in life to the extent that I did. So I felt that I could possibly talk about it a little bit and try and help other people. Here in Australia, 10 people a day die by suicide, and to me, that's unacceptable. But and the statistics are just going up, especially like I think on average we kill 1 to 2 women a week through domestic violence. It's just it's staggering stacks. Every youth crime at the moment is quite bad as well, and I feel a lot of it's got to do with a lack of connection and a lack of understanding of who we are. So that's why I started this little project, to talk to guys like you and to get a bit of a network going and just try and make a difference.
Yes. Well, in the United Kingdom, suicide rates are similar as they are for domestic violence. And during lockdown, the visibility of both of those issues came to prominence for men in terms of suicides and in terms of domestic violence. We now have a Domestic Abuse Act on the statute book. So lockdown threw a bright spotlight on those things, including some of the cases I dealt with. The occupations here that are most prevalent to suicide are dental surgery and farming.
Really?
A little bit different. Yeah, it's a bit different. Again, there's a cultural difference there, perhaps. But
farming is a big one in Australia too. Farming is a big one. Yeah, loneliness, especially in the rural communities, and yeah, it can be a big one in Australia as well. So yeah.
Yes, and my friends in India tell me in Assam, in North India, farming as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I suppose. Preventing death by suicide is a big, strong motivator of mine. So when I did turn 40, I done my Cert 4 in mental health, and then just to see how I'd go at doing some education, I got that, and then I done my diploma in counselling over the next 2 years, and I'm nearly through my Bachelor of Psychology at the moment, working through that. So I'm just trying to work out what we can do to stop that, because it's quite tragic circumstance, and it just wrecks whole communities basically, doesn't it? It's not just the person that dies by suicide, but their parents and the kids that went to school with them, and it's just but even domestic violence as well. I don't want to discriminate against them or lessen that pain at all, but all these social issues is something that I'm working hard with, and trying to find guys like you that can talk and just raise awareness and put in some actual real data or some real experience in these issues, especially like I know we're from different countries, but we're both from European countries. I suppose our base here in Australia is still very much Englished. We're still in the union and that sort of stuff, but we're very multicultural here, and I assume over there is probably very similar sort of things. But it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, whether you're rich or whether you're poor, or what race you are, or your colour of your skin, you're susceptible to these sort of problems.
Yes.
And even more so here in the Indigenous communities, because they are highly represented in suicide, and they are highly represented in domestic violence, so and youth crime. So even it doesn't matter what background you're from. In fact, it's probably worse being some of these minority groups.
Yeah, it is a strange paradox that some of the early political philosophers, I'm not just thinking about Aristotle, if you think about somebody like John Locke. I studied politics at university. John Locke once said, he was a liberal from the 18th century, common bonds of humanity are more important than the boundaries of sovereign states. And phrases like that, and there are others, they encapsulate diversity from different perspectives.
Yeah.
Trevor, I'm just looking at my clock. I've got an engagement shortly.
Okay. Yep.
I'm just going to say to you, I think there are 3 things I can do to be of immediate assistance and keep in touch with you.
Yep.
First of all, I'd be very happy to I run a regular newsletter, and I'd be very happy in my next newsletter to do a summary of what we've discussed and perhaps signpost a link towards you. And secondly, I can invite you to join my LinkedIn groups and my Facebook groups on training. And thirdly, I can send you a list of my free resources, including the PowerPoint I mentioned. So all of that, I'm quite a regular contact on LinkedIn. You'll see a lot of articles from me and other things. So we could keep the thing going. And I'll stop talking. The young man who introduced us, I'll give him feedback on what we've done as well.
Simon, he's a good bloke. Yeah, he's a good bloke, and he helps me a lot with this sort of stuff. So without him, I probably wouldn't be here today talking to you. So so a lot of credit goes to him and his hard work, and everyone that's participated or been a guest on this podcast. It's phenomenal that people make an effort and create some content for other people to listen to. So I'd like to thank you very much for your time, William. And I know you're a busy man and have to go, but thanks very much. And hopefully we'll keep in contact.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
No worries.
Goodbye.
No worries, mate. See you. Bye.
Goodbye. Just turn this off here.